here. Hernandez. Bonaventura. Benacer. Now Çalhanoğlu gets involved, finds Bonaventura. Çalhanoğlu. Ibrahimovic. Nice approach play again by Milan. Is there a sting in the tail though? Çalhanoğlu to have a go. Oh, there was a sting in the tail. Strakosha beaten by Hakan Çalhanoğlu. And Stefano Pioli's side in front at the Olimpico. Çalhanoğlu's 50th goal of the season.
Well, it's really good build-up play from Milan. Just the emphasis of the quick pass and move. Does take that wicked deflection that always dips under the crossbar. Goalkeeper doesn't stand any chance. Strakosha keeping that one out. Does just take the smallest deflections of Parolo and just goes in on the side of the bar. It's a brilliant strike though from the Turkish internationals. Really good build-up play. But it takes a wicked deflection there to give Milan the lead.
Well, he has been praised for his performances in general since the restart. Hakan Çalhanoğlu. And that's a big contribution there, even though, Adam, there was certainly a deflection on the shot that really did seem to deceive Strakosha in the Lazio goal. But Lazio have had to come from behind to win their last two games. They're going to have to do it again if they're to keep the pressure up on Juve in this Scudetto race.
Well, they certainly will do, but without Immobile as well. Maybe the task is just made a little bit harder there, but it's the first time really in that final third, Adam, when you look that little pass and move. Ibrahimovic dropping short, and as you mentioned there quite rightly, since the restart, Çalhanoğlu has been better for Milan in terms of his consistency against Lecce, a couple of assists, and it was excellent against Spal as well. He just kept going and was unlucky not to score when he hit the post in that game as well. I think it's always a frustration with Milan fans, just that consistency from the Turkish international. On his day, he can be absolutely superb. Just when those days come along, it's sometimes far too infrequent. But continues that good run for Milan so far.
Well, Milan supporters will be well aware of the almost constant speculation about Ralf Rangnick potentially coming to the club at the start of next season, or the end of this season. And he is apparently a big fan of Çalhanoğlu. Clearance was by Patrick. It's going to be fascinating this now, Adam, in terms of Lazio as to how they react here without their talisman Immobile to call upon for the goals.
Well, it certainly will do. If the game ever needed a goal, it was this one. Because I think both sides are very happy for each side to keep the ball and try and create something in that final third when they can. But now, questions will be asked of his side. Can they come back and try and turn this deficit around?
Kessie. Çalhanoğlu. Hernandez. Playing with some authority here, Milan. There is a confidence about them. Çalhanoğlu. Now they're on Lucas. Free kick to Lazio. They look like a team at the moment, Lazio, that just need a moment to reset and regroup a bit.
Yeah, they just seem a little bit rattled at the moment. Good to see from Milan. When they've scored that goal, they've stayed on that front foot and pressured in that midfield area.
Goals have been a problem for Milan this season in terms of getting them up the table. But on the plus side, they've shown signs of improvement in that respect since the restart. Before tonight, it was 8 goals in 3 league games since play resumed in Italy, but they've chalked up a 9th now.
Certainly one of their better performances away from home against Lecce when they scored 4. One against Roma, they had to be patient to try and break down a very good side, and in that second half they really came to fruition and took their 2 goals very well against Spal. They weren't at it, and I think until the red card that completely changed and they really capitalised on the extra man. And yes, the own goal was a little bit lucky to get themselves that draw, but seems a lot more fight within this side now.
Correa, a player down here for Lazio. They could ill afford an injury. Of their last 6 league games, but trailing at the Olimpico to Milan. Correa, Luis Alberto, Johnny providing some width. Luis Alberto had a go, it's come wide now for Johnny. Early cross from him, and Milinkovic-Savic beaten through it by Kessie. Lazio keeping going though. Lazio came off Theo Hernandez.
There when he was quite rightly to feel aggrieved that he didn't get the throw in.
Lucas. Volleyed by Kessie. Out for a Lazio throw in. In his 13th season with Lazio. Here's Radu again. Johnny looking to hit the byline. Cross will come over here to Lazio. Theo Hernandez did brilliantly there. Says he's very keen to remain at Milan. So in fact, he thinks it's his best season since he was at Alaves back in the 2016-17 campaign. Cherby heads forward for Lazio. Torolo, lovely back heel to find him from Luis Alberto. Goal, the difference.
It does take a wicked deflection, doesn't it, off Parolo, who just goes to try and close him down, but it's a positivity from Çalhanoğlu, then takes the shot on really well, but Ibrahimovic dropping short, just that little passing go, that passing moving with a little bit more purpose, which would probably been lacking from both sides, and the first time they capitalised that in the central areas, they got themselves that really important goal.
Romagnoli. First time by Çalhanoğlu, who's clearly full of confidence here. Bonaventura. Milan getting plenty forward. Conti has Salamanca's further down the line. Into the box it goes instead. Ibrahimovic! Well, the whistle goes. Turned home by Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He picked up that great position at the back post. But he had gone too early, hadn't he?
Yes, good finish though from the former LA Galaxy star, and the goals he scored in MLS I saw of him last season was just, it always peels off to that far post area. He's looking for that header or a ball into those areas.
Milan are playing well here though, Adam.
Certainly full of confidence, and they've had to be patient to earn the right to play, and that's, I think, the maturity in Stefan Parolo's side in terms of the way that they've really built on their confidence since the restart. A more settled side in terms of the personnel, only 1 or 2 changes every now and then.
Lazio's gone for the return here. If Parolo can get it through to him, which he couldn't. Lazio it was who won the reverse fixture this season at San Siro, finished 2-1 back in November. Immobile and Correa with their goals. In fact, Milan have only won 1 of the last 7 meetings between these clubs in all competitions, but they're in front now. Çalhanoğlu arrives on the edge of the box. They're appealing for handball and the referee's pointed to the spot. Came off the arm, it would seem, of the experienced Stefan Radu. And Milan will have the opportunity to double their lead.
Oh, I thought that straight away a penalty, but then I thought it would be a harsh penalty. Just sticks out that left arm slightly, stop the cross coming in. That's why you don't turn your back at him. You try and face the ball and take one on the chest.
What an opportunity for the Rossoneri to go 2 up here. Still the appeals go on from the Lazio players as to the award of the spot kick. And it does clearly strike the arm, and it is going to be a penalty. And it is going to be Zlatan Ibrahimovic to take it. Ibrahimovic against Strakosha. Oh, he just couldn't quite keep it out. And there's an element of fortune to it for Milan and Ibrahimovic, but they have doubled their lead, and Lazio now at the Olimpico have a mountain to climb.
Well, this is probably one of the luckiest penalties you will see. Strakosha goes the right way, gets a strong right hand to it, but just goes under his body. Maybe just enough of power there from Ibrahimovic to get that through, but so unlucky for the Lazio goalkeeper not to keep that one out. But certainly Ibrahimovic won't care about that one. Milan take a 2-goal lead now. It's almost jumps on top of it, but he won't care.
Ibrahimovic celebrating as we move towards the final 10 minutes of this first half. The goal credited to Ibrahimovic, even though of course it did come off the goalkeeper Strakosha. Well, how will Lazio react here, and what must they be making of this, you wonder, in Turin, where Juventus, remember, have already won the derby today against Torino. Is the pressure telling on Lazio, particularly without their main man Ciro Immobile?
Well, that was the disallowed one that was given offside and strikes the arm, so of course a penalty will certainly be given. A busy couple of minutes there for Ibrahimovic.
Correa. Milinkovic-Savic. Well, they've come from 1 down in their last 2 matches to win them, Lazio. This, a different prospect, isn't it? Against the Milan side, clearly playing with confidence and 2-0 up. Patrick. There just isn't, Adam, the same fluidity, same threat about Lazio in that final third, which is understandable without Immobile in the side, that they're going to have to find a way to deal with his absence and indeed that of Caicedo.
They will do. I mean, the personnel missing in that final third is one thing, but also the way that they play on a number of occasions is with that through ball.
So Lucas Paquetá is going to come on here, and it looks as though it's the man who opened the scoring, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, who's going to be replaced, which is a great shame really for him individually, when you bear in mind the form he's been in since the restart. But it's an opportunity nevertheless for Paquetá.
Well, he came on against Roma and really changed the game with SELAMAT and really pushed Milan onto those 3 points and started the last game and did well as well. But that's the difference in that final third with Çalhanoğlu just getting that early goal. Disappointing there for the Turkish international. I think it's really come back very well, very strong, with good quality performances. But unfortunately, as you will get with a long period of layoff, there will be 1 or 2 niggling injuries that may happen.
Lazio's corner, headed clear by Ibrahimovic. First touch here for Lucas Paquetá. It's Lazio's throw. They took a lot of confidence, Milan, from the fact that they finally beat what you might term one of the top clubs in Serie A with that victory that Adam Virgo was talking about over Roma recently. If they could follow that up with another victory over the other Rome club, that would be yet another big step in the right direction for the Rossoneri and this project under Stefano Pioli. How long that project has to run, we don't know, but he certainly seems to be moving them in the right direction at the moment.
No, it certainly will do, isn't it? If they do make that change, that he does put them in Europe, then he'll certainly be on the hierarchy's head if things don't turn out well next season. He seems to be getting on with his business and doesn't seem to affect the players' performances on the field so far.
Came off the head of Theo Hernandez. What have you made of Lazio's reaction to that second goal for Milan?
Nothing too much so far, Adam. I mean, just struggling to find a way to unlock Milan's defence in that final third.
Chance from this set piece then. It's taken by Luis Alberto, and it's from Kessie who gets it clear for Milan, and then helped on by Paquetá, now Bonaventura, and there's a counter-attack on here. It's led by Alexis Salamakis, who needs support. That's arriving. It goes down on the edge of the box. He had Paquetá and Ibrahimovic up in support. Wonder whether he missed an opportunity there to play a telling pass.
Yeah, maybe he should have just moved that slightly earlier. Made a really great run with breaking that line within that final third, and Paquetá and Ibrahimovic will certainly be in the ball line. He maybe felt like he could have gone himself. Just ends up slipping over in the wrong area. Good counter-attacking play there from Milan.
Or not, what a season they've been having. Incredible consistency. They've only lost 1 of their last 24 league games, winning 19 of them. That loss, their first game back after the restart, 3-2 defeat at Atalanta. The way they've been playing of late could beat anybody.
So you mentioned Atalanta, they were 3-0 down, weren't they, before? Back in October and managed to turn that around and get 3 goals, but 2 goals from Immobile there, but he's not starting tonight, so I think things will be very different.
Milan really do seem to be enjoying themselves out there. Here's Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Just played behind Hernandez. Patrick. You certainly wouldn't know from the way that this first 41 minutes has gone that there are 25 points between these two clubs right now.
Certainly compliment to the way that Milan have really come back so well. Just look at the spine of their team, Kerr and Romagnoli, and the 2 midfielders, and Messi and Benacer as well. Just the spine of the team now looks so much more solid than maybe what it's been in previous years. Controlling games a lot better than what they have done before. Johnny. By Conti. Just a little over
like he can be really important for them going forward. A good age as well at 22, can still develop, but already for me looks a very important player for the Milan, not just now but going forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like his work rate within that final third in terms of the positions he picks up. Maybe he could chip in with a few more goals than what he's done in previous years.
Johnny's cross, it's punched clear by Donnarumma, but only here to Manuel Lazio. Patrick. Played against Kessie by Milinkovic-Savic. Acerbi. Can Lazio find a route to goal before half-time? Not like that, they won't. Intercepted by SELAMAT. Benacer. Ibrahimovic. Only home defeat, you know, that Lazio have suffered in any competition this season was against Celtic, one of Adam's former clubs, now in the Europa League, and that took a 95th minute winner from the former Genoa midfielder Olivier Nchan. It's been an absolute fortress for them, the Olimpico, this season, but they've been nowhere near their levels that they've set themselves this season so far tonight.
Yeah, no complaints so far in that first half. You can't argue on the scoreline. I think Milan have been the better side in possession. They've been better within that final third, but it's been quite toothless in terms of ideas. Lazio in this area here, as you mentioned, Luis Alberto and Kalian like to drop short, and they did that well in the first 5-10 minutes, but they've not really linked up well enough for the period of that first half, long enough for Lazio to create too many chances.
Patrick. Ibrahimovic has gone down off the ball here, which will be a worry for Milan as Johnny races to try and keep it in. He has. He's got Patrick in support. Parollo. They set it up well, but wide it goes. Watched wide by Donnarumma. The effort from Luis Alberto.
Decent link-up play there. First real shot. Just going wide of that. I think Donnarumma certainly had that one covered. Milinkovic-Savic just maybe straying into an offside area before the keeper punched that one out, but haven't really offered too much, have they, really, to trouble Milan in that final third. Really picking up on scraps and running out of ideas.
Thankfully, Zlatan Ibrahimovic back to his feet. Always worry, don't you, when a player goes down like that off the ball? Particularly one of advancing years. Here's Luis Alberto. Joaquin Correa. Oh, collided there with Hernandez.
Oh, well, he did really well there, the fullback, to read the danger. Romagnoli just got caught a little bit square, a little bit tight. That's where you need your fullback to come across and really fill in that gap nicely. Made a really, really important challenge, but certainly took one on the ankle afterwards. Very, very sore.
It's an important contribution, though, isn't it, from the left-back Theo Hernandez, who really sensed the danger there and came into that central area. They have defended well in that first half. Milan, they've attacked well too, and they have a 2-goal advantage at the break. Akan Çalhanoğlu, before going off injured in that first half, got the opener. His 5th league goal of the season. Did take a deflection which deceived Strakosha a little bit, and then he was unlucky, the goalkeeper, not to keep out that penalty 11 minutes later from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. This is a scoreline that will be going down well in Turin at half-time at the Olimpico. It is Lazio 0, Milan 2.
kursi terdepan telah siap untuk kamu nikmati semua aksi sensasional, interview mendalam, laga klasik.
It's a vintage FA Cup goal for Arsenal.
Juga cerita tim wanita Arsenal dan highlight yang belum pernah dilihat sebelumnya dari dalam dan luar lapangan. Inilah Corner Central. Arsenal TV di Bein Sports.
A small gesture, a shout of encouragement, or a round of applause from one person can give strength in unimaginable ways. But when that person becomes thousands, we can achieve the impossible. Which is why now, all of our support goes to them.
Nikmati rasa organik dari La Liga, dari pilihan terbaik untuk cita rasa sempurna, diseduh untuk ciptakan sensasi kuat.
Oh, what a dribble. 2 and 3 and he's still going.
Dan beraroma dengan penyelesaian manis. Sangat adiktif. Temukan cita rasa terbaik dari La Liga Highlights di sini di Bein Sports.
It's often said a good goal. 2 years later, in the summer of 2010, Francesco Guidolin was appointed as the team's new coach. The impact was significant, and in his first season, they qualified for the Champions League. Andanovic's efforts and the incredible goal scoring of capocannoniere Antonio Di Natale were key to their success. As the league's top scorer, Di Natale's place in the 2010-11 Serie A team of the season was in little doubt. Andanovic's inclusion showed just how highly the Slovenian was now regarded. Things got even better for Udinese the following season. Third place represented their best league campaign since 1998. But it was also Andanovic's last at the club. Inter were in the market for a new keeper, and his consistent displays made him their #1 target.
sepenuhnya.
How are you staying fit?
Lebih dekat dengan pemain favorit kamu dulu dan sekarang.
Are you scared?
Untuk kita semua. Lebih dari sekedar game, eksklusif Fiqs Spot. Rumah untuk Arsenal, Liverpool, dan Chelsea.
Dung, gua diputusin Wati, Dung. Kamu saja lu, kamu seperti lo kaku tong. Gebetan gua nikah sahabat gue. Lebay lu, Dung.
Juli ini, tonton aksi olahraga terbaik di sini di beIN Sports. Keseruan La Liga kembali, persaingan Barca dan Real Madrid yang semakin sengit. Jangan lewatkan klimaks hasil akhir La Liga. Raksasa Italia bertarung sengit menuju puncak. Mampukah Ronaldo dan rekan-rekannya menahan para rival? Temukan di Serie A. Tonton aksi terbaik sepak bola Turki yang berapi-api di Turki Super League.
Well, this is just brilliant.
Pertarungan epik 4 tim terbaik Inggris menuju Wembley di semifinal FA Cup. Peraturan baru, tantangan baru. Tonton aksi terbaik dari Major League Soccer. Semua ini dan selebihnya Juli ini di beIN Sports dan beIN Sports Connect.
Being shattered. Juventus 7 points clear after winning the Turin derby earlier today. We're going to see akan come on for Lazio ahead of the start of the second half, and Rebic has been brought on here for Milan. And it's Zlatan Ibrahimovic who's going to make way. We did see Adam Virgo's Zlatan Ibrahimovic go down off the ball towards the end of that first half, and while he did get back up again and did continue playing, it looks as though they decided not to take any chances with him in this second half.
Yeah, I mean, he's been struggling with the calf injury, hasn't he, in recent games, and maybe took a kick around that area that's just maybe flared it up slightly. But not bad replacement for someone who's been very, very informed. Maybe felt that he could have started this evening's game, but what he will do now is offer pace in that final third and stretching Lazio's back line to try and bring players into play in that final third. Scored important goals as well.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic with his 14th Serie A penalty successfully converted in a row there, but the last one hadn't been since 2012. That was against Inter. But Bobby akan is on here. And can he give Lazio that bit of punch in the final third that, of course, they're so missing so far tonight, without their top scorer, the league's top scorer, Ciro Immobile, to be able to call upon. Whatever happens in this title race that they're in, what incredible progress Lazio have made this season. But how they want to keep the title race going. Lazio are currently 20 points better off compared to the same stage of the previous campaign. It's gone the other way for Milan, they're 8 points down. But it's the Rossoneri who lead at the restart here. And as I say, Adam Virgo, this is a really big test, arguably one of their biggest tests yet this season for Lazio of their title credentials. Can they bounce back here, you wonder?
Well, it's a massive 45 minutes for Simone Inzaghi's side if they are going to pull themselves back into this title race against Juventus. Yes, they have been poor in this first half, but they've shown this fighting attitude throughout the season with late goals, as I mentioned before, in the second half. Without Immobile, this is going to be very, very difficult for them, but they need a good start in the first 15 minutes.
throw in for Rossoneri. 2 to the good at the Olimpica. Paquetá couldn't get it back to him. Confusion here between Gianpaolo Calvarese and both sets of players, it would seem, as Ibrahimovic watches on. Lazio to take the throw in for Lazio. Benacer's header didn't quite reach Alexis Salamakis, and now it's Luis Alberto to the Spaniard Johnny. Really does further illustrate just how good Lazio have been this season, to consider that if they could turn this around and win today, it would take them to 71 points. That would be just 1 point less than they gathered in their whole of their last Scudetto winning season. And that's with 8 games still to play. Correa's pass. And Joaquin Correa hit it first time. It's better though from Lazio.
Well, they need to start the second half with a bit more positivity and maybe take the game to Milan slightly more. Half a chance there for Correa just to test Donnarumma from 18-20 yards out.
The player just brought on by Simone Inzaghi, Bobby Akan, hasn't featured since the restart. Player that Liverpool, you might recall, signed from Barcelona in the summer of 2015. Milan on the attack again though. Rebic with Salamakis arriving in the box. Paquetá was in there as well. It's cleared by Patrick. Johnny. Correa, game stretched here. Adekanye is found by Correa. And Correa again. Got the effort on target, but dealt with by Donnarumma.
Now, it's been a positive start from Lazio now in this second half. Positive substitution for Adekanye to come on and maybe offer a little bit more pace within that final third that's been maybe lacking, with Correa and Alberto just dropping short. Maybe just put your laces through that one rather than the side foot from that angle. Maybe get a parry there from Donnarumma.
Already in the first few minutes of this second half, there's just looked more threat about Lazio, more conviction about them. Played very much within themselves in that first half. Rebic looking for Salamakis. He's done exceptionally well to keep that in.
He's done really well.
Bonaventura with the pass. Kessie tried to place one. I wonder whether that might have been better suited for Paquetá.
Salamakis does absolutely brilliant here. I actually thought this one had gone out. Maybe just. They've done well to keep that one in, to play the advantage. I think, yeah, you're right there, Adam. I think Paquetá maybe would have been the better option, with Kessie just coming in there. And it's a bit of a lame shot from the edge of the box, but quite rightly mentioned, there's a lot more emphasis in Lazio now on the ball.
They just look more at it, really, since the restart. Radu. Correa looking for Luis Alberto, tidied up by Andrea Conti. One of the great things about this Lazio side under Inzaghi, Adam, is the way how quickly they move the ball in the final third. We didn't see that enough from them, did we, in that first half? Already we're seeing more of it in this second half.
Yeah, you're right there, Adam. I know we talk about Immobile missing, but there's still a majority of these players within this starting 11 that have got themselves to where they are in the league. And they've just not turned up within that first half. And you quite rightly said they have played within themselves. But you can clearly see the manager's had a clear word with them, and that was not a good enough performance from them in terms of the way that they pressed and the way they actually were on the ball. There's so much more to their performance so far, and so Milan have coped very well so far and just trying looking to play on that break now.
Conti to Salamakis. Movements into the box from Bonaventura. course, Milan were 2-0 down at half-time in their last match, brought it back to draw 2-2 with Spot. Today they seem to be on the end of a comeback from Lazio, who've room for encouragement at the start of the second half, but then Bola brings down Bonaventura.
Yeah, slightly needed foul there from the captain. You're talking about the start that they've made. They are on the front foot, and that's what sometimes happens. You just misplace the challenge.
Cheating 7 appearances now for him.
Near post area.
In it goes from Benacer. It's blocked by Luis Alberto. And Luis Alberto's got it, and he's got Lazio beyond him. Akan getting forward in support as well. Milan rushing players back. A great chance to get one back, and it's been taken. Lazio with the finish, but the offside flag was quickly up and he just went too early.
That was a great block in the wall there from Luis Alberto to start this counter-attack, and I just thought he should have played that ball slightly earlier. Lazio was in acres of space to run into. It was an executed finish very, very well, but certainly straight into an offside position. And listen, Luis Alberto, you can't really criticise too much for his assists this season because he's been absolutely superb, but just maybe needed to let that one go slightly earlier. But a disallowed goal, yes. I have to say, Lazio have been so much better in these first almost 7 or 8 minutes in this second half now.
Radu. Flipped by Correa. I think one of the things as well, Adam, that's keeping this such an open contest and maybe is allowing Lazio back into the game more in terms of creating chances is that Milan seem to be seeing attack as the best form of defence, don't they?
Well, certainly are. I think with Rebic on now, Adam, I think they feel they've got a better out ball into that final third, which they're trying to provide now.
Overhit by Bonaventura.
It's a completely change of pace of the second half. This is what we saw in the first half. Both sides were allowed to have the ball in their own half, and there wasn't really too much pressure off the ball from either side, but now playing so much more with a purpose. Lazio are passing the ball forward a lot quicker.
Correa. Oh, Milinkovic-Savic wanted it played short. Lazio was the player out wide. So much more intensity to Lazio's game. I'm not surprised after what would have been a fairly loud and animated team talk, one would imagine, from Simone Inzaghi at half-time. And he would have stressed, Adam, the fact that he wouldn't maybe put it in the terms that the Scudetto is riding on this, but if they were to be 7 points behind, that against a Juve side going, of course, so well in terms of consistency, even if they haven't been playing anywhere near their best, they're still grinding out results. That would be a very big gap to close, wasn't it?
Yeah, it will be. I mean, you're looking at that game, as you mentioned, the next game, but one that they have to really be in closing distance of them to make it really exciting in terms of what they can provide.
So we see Jordan Lukaku come on, and Stefan Radu is going to be replaced here as well by Dennis Vavro, who was signed for €10.5 million from Copenhagen last July, but has very rarely featured. This only his 6th league appearance, his 5th as a substitute, and his first appearance at all since the 23rd of February. But with the games coming pretty much every 3 days, the head coaches are having to utilise their full squads. They're having to utilise the five changes that are available to them between now and the end of the season. Bonaventura tempted to have a go, and just wide, not too far wide though from Bonaventura.
Stark just had that one coming, a bit like Donnarumma's one in the first half from similar distance. Just strides across the ball a little bit too much there, just dragging it past the post.
Lazio yet to score tonight, but they are so hard to beat, so hard to keep quiet. Only once this season have they lost a game without scoring. A 1-0 defeat at Inter back in September. Lukaku. Correa. Lazio. Acerbi. Patrick. Lazio. Acerbi. Brought down by Lazio. Milan with plenty back here. Oh, tidied up by Kessie, who's found Paquetá. Lazio, interesting player for Lazio this season in that he is the only player really in what you might call the core 11 or 13, 14, 15 sort of regular starters for Lazio, Adam, that was brought in over the summer. It is a group of players who've been together by and large for a very long time, with a coach who, of course, has been in charge as well for a long time as well. There is a familiarity, there is a consistency about Lazio, and it's one of the fundamental reasons one would imagine that they're in this title race to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for that continuity in terms of the starting 11 and knowing where you are in Simone Inzaghi's.
Well, that's a good ball, and it deserved better from Bonaventura.
So the early run there from Bonaventura, getting into a good area. He does get forward well. Just mentioned a couple of times, maybe could add himself a goal or two. Going back to Lazio, Adam, I thought good signing that he come in, he provides that left-hand side. It's had to wait a couple of games to get his chance at the start of the season, but provided some very important assists this season so far, and it's a real output ball that Inzaghi really plays on with his wing-backs.
Bonaventura, who's found by Hernandez. And they've worked the opening brilliantly here, and it's finished off by Rebic. Really good Milan goal, and incredibly, they lead by 3-0 at the Olimpico. Beautifully crafted and confidently finished by Rebic.
Well, it's a great finish there from Rebic. Player that's come on. I thought Lazio were quite slow to get up. Certainly is onside there. Patrick was playing him onside. It's a confident finish there from the Croatian. And if you're going to lose your home record of being undefeated this season, this is an emphatic performance from Milan so far. The accomplice finish there.
It's 3 goals in 4 games, it's 10 in 14. Ante Rebic has truly turned things around in terms of his career with Milan, which looked to be going nowhere at one point. Had a terrible start, really, couldn't get in the side, but got an opportunity in how he has taken it.
He's done well, hasn't he? And fair play to him, he's shown a great mental attitude, and when you look at that front three for Eintracht Frankfurt last season that did so well in the Bundesliga and the Europa League with Sebastian Haller and Jovic, and now Rebic as well. Not prolific goal scorer, but offers movement and pace within that final third, and it's good to see in the new year that really become prolific now in front of goal, and there's good options now for Pioli now with Ibrahimovic and himself to use, and Leao to come off the bench when he's come on and made a difference with important goals.
Lazio, the team second in the table. Juve's closest rivals are being overpowered here at home. There's an authority about Milan, a determination, and as well, I think the other thing that you would note from this performance, Adam, is that they have a hunger, a thirst thirst for goals as well. Certainly aren't satisfied with 3, are they?
And they're not, and ironic, I thought the period of that first half was probably the best that Lazio have played. Correa looks like to be struggling slightly, not really closing down, maybe carrying a niggling injury.
What a way for the unbeaten home record in Serie A to go this season. Lazio and Juve, the only teams not to lose at home in the league. Mentioned earlier, the only defeat they've suffered in any competition at home this season, Lazio, is against Celtic in the Europa League. Still around half an hour to go with the added time that we'll have, but this game shows little sign of turning around in Lazio's favour as the substitute Vavro fouls Ante Rebic.
Yeah, it's got a little bit too tight to the centre forward there. It's been a good turnaround for Milan. I think you look at the way that they played under Gattuso, again, was very, very inconsistent, and they're a side that needs to be back in Europe. They're a big enough side to be competing with the big guns, and I think missing this season may have worked in their favour. They continue to try and catch Napoli, that also Atalanta in their last game, and Roma haven't really reacted well since coming back from the lockdown. And they're in a good position just right now to try and qualify for a Europa League place.
And it's worth reiterating to people the significance of Milan finishing 6th or above, because the position they're in 7th right now would qualify for the Europa League, but it would mean they'd have to come back early and go through the qualifiers. They wouldn't go straight into the group stage. 5th or 6th would take them straight into the group stage, so it's really important for them these closing weeks, these main games of the season, as Inzaghi makes another change here. Correa, the man who they really look to in terms of goals this evening, with both Caicedo and Immobile out. He's made way, and it's Cataldi, who'd been a pre-matched out with an injury, who came through training unscathed yesterday, who's brought into the midfield.
Just watching Correa run, just trying to close the ball down. He did look like he was struggling with an injury.
Rebic. Parolo. An obvious difference really between the two main title challengers, Juve and Lazio, is perhaps strength in depth, and maybe we're seeing that come to the fore. Juve's strength in depth, so important, isn't it? Particularly important when they're playing a game every 3 days, these clubs. Maybe Lazio don't quite have the same level of strength in depth, as Luis Alberto gets the pass here to Lukaku, headed clear by Romagnoli. Patrick gets it wide, and now inside it goes to Milinkovic-Savic. Was hopeful, to say the least. Is that a factor for you, Adam?
Yeah,
strength in depth?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you look at any league in terms of the strength and depth. I mean, you look at Juventus today for Matuidi coming on, Douglas Costa, Higuain for Dybala, and Ramsey was still on the bench as well, and Szczesny was on the bench. So it really does show the depth and depth for Mauricio Sarri's side, and I think it's coming back from the lockdown, Adam, in terms of players' fitness and injury-prone players as well, because they haven't played for a long, long time. I mean, Roma, when I watched them against Milan last week, they really blew up in the second half, and fitness really was a major factor within all that. And I think the depth of the squads that you do have can make a massive, massive difference. And in fairness to Milan, they're utilising that. And these fringe players that have been asked questions of Paquetá and Salamakis in particular as well, and Ibrahimovic just come back from injury, and there's a real fluidity now. So I do really think that Lazio's depth in squad compared to Juventus is really now being shown.
Lukaku, Luis Alberto, Parolo. I have to say, Milan have defended those exact sort of situations expertly tonight. They really have. Sort of areas where Lazio ordinarily really hurt teams, but maybe the movement in those areas areas of the pitch hasn't quite been to the normal levels for Lazio. Understandable maybe without Immobile. But this was a chance for them, really, wasn't it, to prove they can do it without him, because that's sometimes the accusation that whilst you could never call them a one-man team with the likes of Milinkovic-Savic and Luis Alberto, and I could name many others as well, but they are quite reliant on his goals. 29 he scored this season, 29 of Lazio's entire tally in the league of 66.
Well, literally, he's a massive part of their team, and you have to certainly rely on that. Casadal was with 8 goals and Correa was 7 and Alberto was 6, so behind him they are quite far as a squad in general. No one else making double figures apart from Immobile in the league.
Messi is the player down as Anderson comes on here for Milinkovic-Savic, and this looks to me, I don't know about you Adam, this looks to me like Inzaghi is looking to rest players here with clearly a busy fixture list ahead. Lecce coming up on Tuesday, then they're at home to Sassuolo, away to Udinese, and then of course as well they have the game against Juventus in Turin on the 20th of July, but whether they'll still be in contention then, close enough to strike on Juve, is very much up for debate after this.
Yeah, I mean they've been 3-0 down this season against Atalanta and turned that magnificently around, but kind of get the feel that Milan is just in control of this game so far, and say it will take a minor miracle in terms of this game being switched around for Lazio to even get a point out of. They've been outplayed in every single area, and you have to give credit to Stefano Poli's side in terms of the way that they've conducted themselves, and there's a real continuity with their team at the moment, and I mean they could be one of the stronger finishers in Serie A.
We're in the midst of a really tough run of fixtures. Milan, they host Juve next, then they go to Napoli, then they host Parma. Rebic looking for Hernandez, who's got to this, and Strakosha just made it for Lazio.
Scored a few this season, Hernandez from deep, maybe more at the start of the season there. Maybe the dink over the goalkeeper rather than the side foot pass. But again, another opportunity for the away team.
Lazio and Kanye in the box, and Anderson's in there too.
That was good covering there from Paquetá. That Hernandez went forward in those areas. No, he's been excellent this season. Decent signing for me. People do ask the question in the one-on-one areas in those defensive sides, but going forward he offers so much for Milan going forward.
You mentioned he's several goals this season. It's 5, isn't it, in the league, which is not a bad return for a full-back. Cherby going for that, and Parolo was beaten to it. Sent back in there by Lukaku, cleared by Kerr. There will be an immense sense of disappointment with Lazio supporters right now as this game, potentially the title, gets away from them. But what a season they have had. Incredible really what Inzaghi has achieved with this group of players, on course to play in the Champions League group stage for the first time since the 2007-8 season. The closest they've come since was the playoffs in 2015, where they lost to Bayer Leverkusen as Romagnoli slides in on Lukaku.
I think that's a really good point there you make there, Adam, in terms of, you maybe look at Lazio in terms of the last time they were in the Champions League, and okay, they may not win the league after this performance tonight in this result, but to finish in the top 3 or second, I think would be a great achievement for them, and they can take that as a positivity going forward. Maybe attract better players to come into the club and try and build on for next season.
Well, they do have a free kick with which to try and trouble Milan as we move into the final 20 minutes at the Olimpico. That really does sum things up, doesn't it, from a Lazio perspective? A night where nothing has gone right. And when you're trying to chase down Juventus, you just can't afford to have nights like that. Calabria coming on then here. Bonaventura, one of those making way. Needs to be seen whether this his final weeks and months as a Milan player. Still was up in June, but has agreed to stay until August to complete the season. Conti is the other player coming off, so a straight swap at full-back here for Milan, with Calabria replacing Conti. It's a happy return to the Olimpico so far tonight for Stefano Pioli. Game, Pioli, that it was asked about their improvements since the reverse fixture, which was a 2-1 win for Lazio at San Siro. He said it takes time to build a team. We're different from the first game because we've changed tactics, positions and players. And I think for me it's very clear to see that there is improvement with Milan. It is a group of players moving in the right direction. Is it anywhere near where they want to be? I think the answer clearly is no, particularly in terms of position in the table. But I have to say, even from the first game back, from the restart when they played away against Juventus in the Coppa Italia semi-final second leg, whilst they maybe didn't offer as much as their supporters would have wanted them to do in the circumstances going forward, I thought there was a real organisation, determination about them away at Juve, and they built on that.
I thought it was a dogged performance from them in that Coppa Italia. I mean, especially with Rebic getting sent off. I think only in that first half, after about 15-16 minutes, so I think they have more of an identity than maybe what they've had in the last couple of years now. In terms of the way they want to play, in terms of the personnel, I think he's got good options in terms of the way they can maybe change things up, but I think they may give Juventus a game next time round, and this could be one of the teams that maybe not in this league championship just quite yet.
It's the Rome-born Cataldi to take the corner. Roma coming a long way for that. Patrick. Of course, the interesting thing, isn't it, with Pioli, is that so much talk in Milan about the future of Pioli and the fact that Ralf Rangnick could be brought in to replace him. If he continues to produce results like this and continues to push Milan in the right direction, and we presume that they do finish in one of the automatic spots for the Europa League, it would give those above him a bit more to think about, wouldn't it?
I mean, certainly. Look at the way that Pioli has turned things around, and we'll go above Napoli and just a couple of points behind Roma in that 5th spot. The second manager after that, after what he had to take on after Gattuso, I think he's done an excellent job. And to get that all up and change it for another person, then there'll certainly be more emphasis on the new manager coming in, but from what we hear, and he does have a little bit more of a transfer budget than what most managers have had before.
Yes. Hernandez with movement from Rebic. Lavro's come out to meet him. Really well done though by Rebic, who then couldn't quite find Krulic, who made the run into the box. Luis Alberto
confidence. That's what you good to see. You start on the bench this evening, you come on and you still make a massive difference, and that certainly always helps the manager, not coming on with a sulk.
Well, I remember earlier in the season where he couldn't get in the team. He'd had a terrible start to his Milan career. Rebic, the Frankfurt chairman, was quoted as saying that Rebic had taken a gamble by leaving them and lost that gamble, and then said it won't get any easier for him. Well, how wrong he's been proved. Rebic now, we hear, because of course it's a loan deal that he's on from Frankfurt, we hear that Milan are keen to make that deal a permanent one a year ahead of time. Such is the impact that he's made before the season suspension, and now since it, 8 goals in 18 league games for this campaign, 3 in 4, 10 in 14. Impressive numbers. Benacer. I have to say I allowed myself a little look back in time in my preparation for this match, with Lazio competing for their first title since the year 2000. Got me reminiscing about the side that was coached so well that year by Sven-Göran Eriksson. Down here, a yellow card produced as well by Calvarese. SELAMAT is brought back to his feet by the man who fouled him, Lukaku. But just allow me to reminisce for a second, Adam, that Lazio squad. Names like Conceição, Boksic, Salas, Mancini, Mihailovic, Nesta, Simeone, Lombardo, Nedved, Stankovic, Veron. They beat Manchester United in the UEFA Super Cup that season as well. That is some side, isn't it?
One or two names that you maybe have heard of and done all right themselves in their career. Sometimes it's a bit like Milan, Adam, in terms of that European glory of yesteryear, that people that are outside of Serie A just feel that they should be back in Europe and have that reputation of those magnificent nights and those past players that have provided so much entertainment.
Well, the target for Milan going forward has to be to get back into the Champions League, doesn't it? It's easy to forget how close Gattuso got them to that last season. Only finished a place outside, a point behind Inter in the race for the top 4. They haven't played Champions League football since 2013-14 as the flag stays down here. But the angle was working against Akan. Now the flag does go up on the far side.
A bit of a late flag there. Let's provide a bit of positivity on the left-hand side, Lukaku. Adekanye, they're just running slightly offside. I thought I was offside and the late flag went up. Always a frustration for a defender when the linesman does delay it for a couple of seconds.
They're going to take some picking up, you would think, these Lazio players, after this results tonight. Indeed, they do go on to lose this match, which looks very likely now as we move towards the final 10 minutes. Krunic on a great run from Hernandez. Can he finish it? He couldn't. Second chance he's had in this second half.
Well, the reaction says it all. How poor a miss that was, and he's normally a fullback and has scored goals at the beginning of this season, but what a chance that was to rub salt into the wounds of Lazio's performance this evening. That was a poor finish there.
You know, it's easy to focus on the fact, Adam, that they've been without Immobile, without his natural backup, Caicedo, tonight, Lazio, but it's at the other end of the pitch, which has been more worrying because we know why they've looked not quite themselves in the final third, but at the back, I mean, this is a team that's defended, by and large, really well this season. They've conceded 28 goals so far this campaign before tonight, but they've looked so open so often tonight, and that was another example of it.
Yeah, we look at Immobile missing this evening, and of course the goals within that final third, but as we mentioned so many times that, you know, there is a nucleus of this side that play week in, week out, and just not been at it at all. Slight difference with Correa and Luis Alberto coming short in terms of offering something within that final third, but you have to say this has been a really lackluster performance from Lazio. It's been a poor performance from them, and they've not matched Milan in work rate, in terms of quality on the ball, and that'll be the disappointing thing about it. Just a work rate and defensive units. Hernandez's chance there, cuts inside nicely, and he has made an absolute meal of that one, using the outside of his boot, just strike your laces through it to make that one 4-0.
It's one of the few things to comfort Lazio supporters right now is that they will know that at least Immobile will be back for the next game away against Lecce on Tuesday. But there is still so much to be positive about from a Lazio perspective, even if they don't go on to win the league, which looks increasingly unlikely now if this 7-point gap seemingly will be maintained tonight. It's been done as well without spending a fortune on new players. The most expensive signing of the summer was Lazio from Spal for €17 million. Vavro was the second most expensive player they signed last summer for €10.5 million, but he's only made one league start. So it's a lot of the players that were at the club from last season, in fact nearly all the players from last season. Correa being one of them. But just tonight, nothing's gone right for them, and so much has gone right for Milan, but it hasn't been by luck for the Rossoneri. They've played very well.
Yeah, they've done well. I have to give credit to them in terms of their game plan, the personnel that Juli picked in terms of Ibrahimovic leading the line and Rebic coming on in this second half. Probably slightly earlier than maybe he wanted to, but he's used his squad very, very well.
It's easy to forget, isn't it, that Milan finished 9 points ahead of Lazio last season, and they started tonight 25 behind them. It's going to be reduced to 22, it would seem, but it does show you just how quickly things can change. There have been so many false dawns for Milan supporters, so many times we've heard about Rossoneri revivals, if I can put it like that have turned out to be anything but. Care with the header. Acerbi. Lukaku. Whoever is in charge of Milan next season, the task remains a big one, a huge club in name, but we have to remember that Milan haven't finished higher than 5th in any of the last 6 Serie A seasons. Now, the team is about to become 7 seasons. A lot of work to be done, but this is the start of something good for Milan. They would take that between now and the end of the season. A platform on which to build would be very welcome for Milan and their hierarchy.
Certainly got 2 very, very tough games coming up. So we mentioned Juventus coming to San Siro, but then that away trip to Napoli as well. It'll be interesting to see, in particular those who perform game after game, how far they've come. Because they're those little performances and against teams where you'll really see their endeavour and their quality.
Former Lazio man Bola coming on for Milan, replacing Franck Kessie. It's been the perfect day, hasn't it, for the champions, the Bianconeri. Juventus thumping Torino in the derby. Now they see Lazio losing at home to Milan. Luis Alberto. There's an initial talks over a new deal. That's going to be one of the challenges, isn't it, going forward for Lazio, as it might well be for Milan as well, is keeping their better players, the players who've been their standout performers this season from Lazio's perspective. Of course, you're talking about the likes of Immobile and Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic, as Cataldi has a go here. They finished third 3 times since. In fact, the last coach to guide them to third is the current Milan coach, Stefano Pioli. That was in 2015. Remember his first start for the Rossoneri. A good week for him, actually, having agreed a permanent deal, permanent transfer from adalah, from whom he was on loan. Lazio. The first time by Cataldi. Cherby was there, and Kanye's there too, Parolo. And the shot from the centre-half, Vavra.
Well, that really sums everything up for Lazio in that final third. And it'll lay off there, Vavra, just no real conviction to hit the target.
Says his idol is Martin Škrtel, Dennis Vavra, fellow Slovakian, also admires Chiellini. It'd be interesting to see whether he gets more game time between now and the end of the season. Surprised really that they paid €10.5 million for a player who's only made 6 Serie A appearances this season. Won the Danish league title last season, also won the Slovak league title with Juli in 2017. This season that they enjoyed in the previous campaign. They won 5 of their final 6 league matches last season. Something similar this time would give them a great chance of the 6th place finish. They really need to secure automatic Europa League qualification. How big a deal, Adam, would that be, do you think, for them to make sure of automatic qualification? How much as a player would it weigh on your mind? Would it be an extra demand on you to have to come back early for next season in those qualifiers?
I mean, sometimes we see in many leagues, when you do qualify for Europa League and you have to come back in early, it does certainly affect your league form at the early start of the season. But when you've been out of Europe for a whole year, I think you'll certainly take that coming back early, providing that you can qualify for European football.
So just a minimum of 2 minutes added on. 3 games to come for Lazio before they meet Juventus in Turin. All 3 of those games against sides in the bottom half. They go to Lecce on Tuesday, then they're at home to Udinese, and then away to Sassuolo. Milan could do Lazio a favour if they can beat Juventus, who they host at San Siro on Tuesday. After that, they go to think after those 3 games, Adam will have an even better idea of just whether this genuinely is a Rossoneri revival.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, Milan could have the big say in terms of where this title's going to go, but as you just mentioned there, Juventus next game against Milan, but they've got Atalanta after that, and they are a free-flowing side that can score goals and can beat anybody on their day. So still a couple of games to go as you think that this could go either way, but this is a big defeat for Lazio. As you mentioned there, the games they've got coming up are winnable games. Ones that I certainly do feel that with Immobile back that they can certainly capitalise on, but they have to try and get past this one. This has been a poor performance from them, and they have to put this one to the back of their minds and try and come back quickly with another 3 points and a good performance.
Searching to go on among these Lazio players now because they've been beaten at home in Serie A for the first time this season. A big dent in their Scudetto ambitions as it threatens to boil over a little bit here. A 7-point gap will be very difficult to overhaul.